I'm going to blame this game on Russ Smith. He seems like a veteran, so the whole just laughing and playing. So UK is actually winning by 7 points over Louisville, December 28th, 2013. I'm going through and analyzing the murders that the Louisville police have committed here in Louisville, and we've seen that the police are just shooting way too many times, right? They're just shooting Rodney Abernathy over a dozen times. They hit him 15 times. Desmond Rudolph, 18-year-old, they shot at him 22 times and they hit him 10 times. James Edward Taylor, he got shot at, whole clipped, is gone 11 or 12 times. Clifford Lewis Jr., he's an 18-year-old, shot at 13 times and hit 7 times, 3 times in the front, 4 times in the back. Marshall Marbley hit 16 shots, and Michael Newby was shot 3 times in the back. So, just all these, just way too many. They're killing way too many. They're just keep on, just they're not shooting to stop the threat. Like that's what they're. I'd heard some shooting on some media report that a police officer is supposed to shoot to stop the threat. So if somebody's coming towards you, you shoot in their midsection, not to kill, not to kill, but to get them to stop pursuing you. If they're about to pull a gun, then I guess you could shoot to kill. But even if you shoot to kill with them about pulling a gun, you shoot boom, 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 boom. Basically, you see them, going down, but like 16 times, 2 dozen times, that's just like, revenge shit. That's just killing them and then keep on popping them just because, you're getting into the heat of the moment. Ha, 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 I got you, motherfucker. No, you're not supposed to be, I got you, motherfucker. It should be like, boom, boom, boom. Damn, why did you make me do that? I didn't want to kill. Like Mackenzie Mattingly, his entire demeanor when he went to court and on the newspaper, he looks like the Manson family. How they were just smiling and happy and shit. Like the big fucking joke. Like they know that they're going to get away with it, and that actually backfired on them. Manson is still in prison because of that shit, right? Because he took the fucking tabloids and the media. So we see way too many shots. We also see plain clothes. Clifford Lewis Jr. and Michael Newby, they're not wearing, just basically a random white person to Clifford Lewis Jr. or to Michael Newby, and then that's what now they're dead. They're plain clothes. That means it could be anybody. I could be a cop right now, right? I'm a police officer. Oh, you don't believe me? Pal, now you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck are you supposed to be able to tell somebody really is a police officer? There's no way to tell with Joe Casey and Aaron Browning at all. They about fucking jumped, they jumped me and they ran, they're cussing at me. They tried to run me over with their car. After they tried to, vehicular, manslaughter, they're going to sit there and say they're the cops. You're not the police. You're not protecting and serving me. I don't believe you. I don't believe how you're behaving. Like, my God, would you believe? Would you believe, somebody, just some random motherfucker saying, hey, I'm the police? Get the fuck out of here. No grand jury indictments. So, I think these are problems that can be solved. Too many shots, well, that's a murder. They should be behind bars for too many shots. Plain clothes, don't do plain clothes no more. The cops, to be, you want a respectable, reputable organization. You have them out there, their presence is known, they're public officials, but community policing. So you want them out there, you want them present, but you also want them clearly designated. These are the agents of the law, these are the state's boys. So you want them to have nice uniforms and nice vehicles. You want them to talk to people in the neighborhood, but you also want them to be respectable. So I'm just saying it's a double-edged sword, because if you get into a militant mindset and you're a police officer and you say, well, if I just tell everybody where I'm at, then they know exactly where I'm at. Yeah, that's true, but you're the officials, so we should know where you're at, and you should be out there for all of us, right? I will protect the park. I will protect the streets, the sidewalks. This is where I will be at. So that's, then they need to be clearly designated. That's why they have lights, right? You're not allowed to go around with lights and sirens and emergency sirens. And that's because it's designated just for the police to do those things, because those are, hey, I'm the one in charge here. What the fuck is going on? Here's the lights. We got the lights. We got the resources. We got what's going down. So there's plain clothes is an issue. That's just the Viper Squad. They're a militant rogue force who goes around in Louisville just hurting anybody who they want to hurt. So we're supposed to assume that the people that they get are, you know, bad into drugs or bad into guns, but they're the violent ones, and they're the ones that, you know, with Michael Newby, they're the ones with the drugs, they're the ones with the guns, they're the ones who have a penchant for violence, they're the ones that initiate the violence with Joel Casey and Aaron Browning. And this is not, you know, this is who they are as people. They hurt you, but they don't help you. I got robbed of $1,800 stuff. They didn't give a shit. The LMPD doesn't care. They told me to move. They said, get the fuck out of here. You can't live around here. Why don't you just get out of here? Shit. Thanks, LMPD. You guys fuck with me when I ain't doing shit, and when I need it, y'all fuck with me some more, right? So, yeah, y'all know good. And, like, I already knew that to begin with. Everybody knows y'all suck. Y'all don't help the people. Nobody feels safe with you all on the streets. Maybe old white women, but that's because they fooled by your bullshit. There's no grand jury indictments for these murders. I got a grand jury hearing. I did not get indicted, but a grand jury did look at my case, and they determined whether or not a felony was committed. And according to 12 people, I was able to walk in there by myself with none of my lawyers there and talk to the grand jury, to the 12 individuals, about my case. They heard me, and they did not issue the indictment. And so it was dropped back to district court, and they only tried I still had a jury trial, so it didn't stop the jury trial, but I had only the misdemeanors, the menacing, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. And according to that 2000 thing, they should have, since I was charged with resisting arrest, they should have filed a use of force form out. I don't know if we have a citizen review board or not, if there is an office for such a public official, or if there's a cop watch program. There should be. There should be somebody taking names down for each and every case of police brutality that the citizens put forward. So you have, you know, no grand jury indictment for Robert Abernathy, or Rodney. Is it Robert or Rodney? I don't know. Yeah, Robert is where I'm running it, but I always thought it was Rodney. It says Rodney. I don't know. I think it's Rodney, and I just repeated it too many times wrong. So, Rodney Abernathy, Desmond Rudolph, Antoine D. Bryant, Jason Cravens, Robert Whitlow, Fidencio Campos-Cruz, James Edward Taylor, Clifford Lewis Jr. Those were all had no indictment by the grand jury. Unarmed, Rodney Abernathy, Adrian Reynolds, Desmond Rudolph, Antoine D. Bryant. So several of these men who were murdered had no gun on them. They had no weapon. They had no, you know, way to defend themselves. They also kind of indicates, like, there's, you know, there's sometimes you'll find, you know, drugs, or you'll find a weapon on a person, and then that sort of indicates that they could have been under the influence. They weren't acting themselves, or, you know, with a gun that seems to maybe some criminal gang activity, you know, is happening. But who has the guns? The police do. So automatically I'm assuming that there's some criminal gang activity that's happening with them, and that would be right, because there is. They are armed and they are dangerous. So the people that they have murdered are unarmed people. So a lot of people say, well, you know, when it comes to black folks, like, why, you know, like, why would you be in favor of gun violence after so many people have died? But it's like, how could you not be in favor of guns? What possible way did Adrian Reynolds or Desmond Rudolph have? Like, how did they had no chance to live? They were murdered by people. They were unarmed. People that had no guns were murdered, you know, with people with the guns. So, like what they said, the NRA said, the only the best defense against or the only defense with a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun. And so that's Desmond Rudolph should have had a gun to protect himself from the bad man with a gun. No drugs whereas in the system of Rodney Abernathy, Adrian Reynolds, Desmond Rudolph, Antoine D. Bryant. You know, so I mean, these guys have they just murdered them. They just murdered these guys. They just murdered them. They had nothing on them. They had no charges. There was no point. They didn't say that they was speeding or doing this or doing that. They just said, you know, they jumped them and then the motherfucker's dead. Clifford Lewis Jr. They just jumped him. They just jumped him. They was in plain clothes. They shot at him way too many times as he's trying to get away. He doesn't have any drugs. He doesn't have any gun on him. They say they think he's about to reach for a gun, but how can you see if someone's reaching for a gun when you're in a van? So the you know, it's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. These cases show that the LMPD are out of control. They are absolutely out of control right now. Susan Jean King. It could be an innocent person who is stuck in jail right now. Baron Morgan tried to say what was going on. He's a whistleblower, I guess, but he's a detective of 17 years. He's a veteran. He's been there forever. And he talked to his supervisor. He talked to the Commonwealth's attorney. They didn't give a shit, so he had to go to the Innocence Project. And then Steve Conrad, he doesn't care that he has an innocent trapped in his prison. The chief of police of Louisville don't give a fuck if there's innocent people in prison. They don't give a fuck if they're guilty or innocent. What the Steve Conrad, the chief of police, what he cares about is PR. He don't want the bad publicity. Yeah, you know, Steve Conrad knows that there's innocent people in his jail, but he doesn't want the public to know about it. Of course they throw innocent people in jail. That's what the fuck they do. Steve Conrad is more worried about him being caught with all of his crimes. He's throwing innocent people in jail and don't give a shit. And he's been doing it ever since he's got into prison. Ever since Robert White left. Steve Conrad has been throwing innocent people such as Susan King into prison. You know, Leon Brackens. That falls on Steve Conrad. Steve Conrad is allowing people, you know, his force to kill little old men that done nothing wrong. They murder innocent people. Of course they're going to throw innocent people in prison. They have no boundaries. They don't care about the public. We're the enemy. Joe Casey, when he calls my case in, he says, one of them just jumped me. One of them? One of who? Who are y'all talking about? One of them just jumped me. Yeah, I know you say one of them. One of them being one of the public. One of the Louisvillians, one of the citizens of Louisville. Carrie Porter was in prison for murder, exonerated, freed after 14 years. William Gregory was freed in 2000 when new DNA testing showed he had been unjustly convicted 7 years of rape. And he sued the city and won $4.4 million. Edwin Chandler was awarded by a Louisville jury of $8.5 million. This is the money that we're seeing from these cases. $8.5 million, right? And like we have 8.5 and 4.6. I mean, that's a combined. That's 13. That's over $13 million. We saw some of these families. Let's see. And we also had Michael Von Allman. In 1982, he was charged with rape, and then he eventually got out in 11 years. And it doesn't say if he made any money or not. You know, he should get some money for that. He should get a lawyer. But the money, $8.5 million for Edwin Chandler and $4.6 million for William Gregory. So there's $8 million, there's $4 million. But what did we get for these young black men who got shot in Louisville? What did they get? Did they get $1 million? You know, did they get just 1/4 of what it is to be in prison for 7 years? $350,000 is what Adrian Reynolds got. And he got like one of the top dollars. You had Michael Newby's family get $250,000. And you had Desmond Rudolph who got $200,000. $200,000. Desmond Rudolph got $200,000. Why the That's a shitty. You either have a shitty fucking lawyer, a dumb fucking lawyer who has no idea what the hell is going on, or they were bought out, you know, or they you can't trust your own lawyers. $250,000 for a life? That's not. At least $1 million for a life. If you're behind bars for 7 years unjustly, you win $4 million. A life should be worth way more than $200,000. Desmond Rudolph's life is worth more than $200,000.